Good Wednesday morning of the 12th week. This is interesting. This is a tough line. This is St. Matthew's really giving us some here. He said, Jesus said to his disciples, beware of false prophets. Boy, do I buy that. Who come to you in sheep's clothing and promise you paradise and they're giving you hell. I think of Hitler. I think of all the monsters of the 20th century. They offered paradise. Be careful. Anybody who offers you a free lunch. Be careful. Right? But see, beware, false prophets come to you in sheep's clothing, but underneath are ravenous wolves. I'm sorry he has to call them wolves because I love wolves. But a ravenous wolf is a dangerous, dangerous animal. Okay? By their fruits you'll know them. Again, it's a virtue theory. By their fruits you'll know them. Look at their life. Right? Do people pick grapes from thorn bushes, figs from thistles? It's just so. Every good tree bears good fruit. A rotten tree bears bad fruit. I don't think this is good biology, but I don't know. A good tree cannot bear bad fruit, nor can a rotten tree bear good fruit. Every tree that does not bear good fruit will be cut down and thrown into the fire. So by their fruits you will know them. That is true. That is whether he said it or anybody said it. Christ said it, Matthew said it, or Aristotle said it. You know a person by the way they live their life, their virtues, and their vices. And be careful of guys singing, beware of the false prophets. And I think we live in an age of false, the whole 20th century. They offer you paradise, and they gave us hell. Hitler promised to make Germany great again, and Germany deserved to recover from the First World War, where they were totally betrayed by the Versailles Treaty, by the French and the British, and the stupidity of the Americans, okay? We went along with that travesty. But it didn't deserve the rising of Hitler and the extermination of the Jews, and the horror of the 20th century, the Second World War. Hitler was a ravenous wolf who for a while looked like a sheep. It was anything but. It was a monster. Mussolini said the same thing to the Italians. He was going to make the Mediterranean Mare Nostra our lake. Yeah, okay, thank you. He brought it hell on earth to the Mediterranean world. Oh. And what was Stalin and Lenin? They were messianic figures. They rejected Christianity. Stalin was a seminarian in the Orthodox Church, yeah. He gave up Christ and he made himself a messianic figure. That monster died in his own bed. That's the only thing. I wish he'd have died the way Hitler did and the way Muzzy died. Mussolini died. Mussolini with his feet hanging like a pig hanging from a scaffold. The Italians know how to do things when they get fed up with you. Hitler died with a gun in his mouth in the cellar. Stalin lived to be an old man. I don't know. I'm hard on that 20th century. I'm tough on it because I saw betrayal at every turn. It cost us 80 million people were killed because of those monsters. And they were all messianic figures. Every one of them were messianic figures. Be careful when somebody offers you paradise. I mean it. And especially if it's a paradise achieved through power. Make me powerful and I'll make you happy. Christ redeems the world from the cross, not from the citadels of power in Rome. He could have been a Roman emperor. Instead, he was a carpenter who got himself killed. Be careful. And I mean that. I see the politics of power really surging again all over the world and in America in many ways. I fear it. I fear it because I know history. I know history enough and I know the human psyche enough. And I know cultures. I know them reasonably well to know what to fear and what not to. And when I see somebody looking like a lamb, I want to make a damn sure that they're a lamb and not a wolf. And I love wolves a lot more than I even love lambs, to be honest about it. But I also know to treat a wolf with respect and not to treat him like a pet. When that wolf walked out to me in 1980, it's Sweatshirt. It's right here. That same year, 1987, up in Ontario. I wasn't afraid of him at all. In fact, it was an intimate moment for me, almost a religiously intimate moment. I told once it was the greatest religious experience of my life was to be in the presence of that wolf. That wolf accepted me. But I also was going to try to reach out and pet him. because he was powerful. And he is not a pet. He is a ravenous wolf who showed me respect. We were fellow predators. See, it wasn't a pet. Oh, isn't he cute? The hell he was. He was 7 feet away from me. I counted it after he left. This was no pet, but he was magnificently beautiful. But I respected his power, and he respected me. We were fellow predators, fellow creatures, right? So I respect power, but I also am not misguided by it. I treat it with respect. It's like a firearm. From the time I was a little boy, we had firearms, okay? It's not automatic, by the way, despite the present hysteria over firearms, okay? And that's what it's becoming, is political hysteria, okay? I hate what's going on in the world, the slaughter of our children. It's not the fault of the gun, it's the fault of a sick society, to be blunt about it. But I remember we were raised with firearms. In our, we used to call it the playroom, but it was a back room where we had some toys. But we also had 2 shotguns there. No, we're unloaded, of course. We would learn to live with firearms. We learned to respect the firearm. We had BB guns. We used to sit in the backyard and shoot. We used to shoot bottles. Yeah, Pete and I handled firearms since we were boys. When we went squirrel hunting, my father would hand us his double-barrel shotgun. Remember the first time I fired that thing, I thought it was going to knock me down. I was just a little boy. He taught us to respect it, not to fear a firearm, to respect it. It's a great image of life. It's both lethal and not. Depends on what you do with it, how you handle it. It could be the most dangerous thing in the world, or it's also one of the most aesthetic. Some of my firearms are absolutely beautiful. One of them is engraved. Oh, Lord, a world-class Belgian engraver. Holy cow, what a work of art. It's a work of art that shoots. Yeah. But it's you see someone who handles a firearm, who really knows how and has a reverence for it and a respect for it, handles it with care. That muzzle is never pointed at anyone. It's instinctive never to point the firearm at someone. You see? It's a virtue. It's the virtue. And all I'm trying to get at is that these things here, okay, don't fall for the false prophet. Make sure you see who's out there. Be careful of the ideologies of your time. We are flooded with ideologies these days. Yeah, we are. And the cliches, the ideological cliches from the political left and right is unreal. And in this country, it's really, the media is loaded with it, and it's unwise. It's unsophisticated. It's not virtuous. It's not. It's ideological. It's cliched politics. I'll give you one more line. I'll leave you alone. Be careful when politics is the basis of morality instead of morality is the basis of politics. That's when you get this kind of problem. When you make politics the basis of morality, now you have the wolf in sheep's clothing. Because politics is self-interested. Virtue and morality is other-interested. In other words, it exists for the well-being, not only the self, but the self as a member of a community. Politics is a surge of power. Gabish, you get it? That's the difference. And that's a crucial difference. We have ideologies of power today. Be careful of power. When morality is based on politics, based on power. It can even be the power of victimhood. Making believe you're a victim. Or making an issue, a political issue out of victimhood. Political. And when you lose your moral perspective on issues and you turn it into a politic of power, be careful. That's the wolf. And that's failing to recognize the wolf. In some ways you're going to pet it. Or you're going to see it as a lamb when it really is a wolf. When you go to reach for the lamb, it tears your arm off. That's the truth. I fear our times. Not for me, I'm old. But if we don't recover our moral foundations to our society, our grandchildren will curse us for the world we gave them, because we're a world of moral treachery, because it's based on the politic of power, not on virtue, Aristotle, let alone the gospel.